Welcome back to my views and news, another news bulletin with news stories from Ethiopia, Eritrea, and Sudan. Firstly, uh, Eritrean embassy in Addis Ababa, Ethiopian capital, today lashed out at an Ethiopian news outlet. Obviously, Eritrean embassy in Addis Ababa represents Eritrean government. So we can say that Eritrean government today criticized an Ethiopian news outlet. What happened? What did this news outlet report? And why is there need for Eritrean embassy to respond to reporting from an Ethiopian news outlet? Secondly, last video was about Debretsion's interview. Former Tigray president and head of TPLF was interviewed on BBC Tigrania yesterday. One part of his interview I could not cover. The host asked questions about Getachew, Tigray interim president. What did Debretsion say? How is Getachew's performance? How is Getachew as a leader? This question was asked by the host. What did Debretsion say? Thirdly, an Orthodox priest was arrested today when he arrived in Addis Ababa, on Addis Ababa airport. He is due to attend a meeting in Mekelle, Tigray's capital, in Axum, but he was due to travel by air from Addis Ababa to Mekelle. He was arrested in Addis Ababa. Reportedly, he had been detained at Bole airport, and he was to attend a meeting in Tigray to appoint bishops. The meeting will be held in Tigray on a Sunday. Now, a letter is being shared in social media showing that this priest was removed by the church years ago, around 7 years ago, for misconduct. Fourthly, we have Sudan, an alarming news story. Slave markets in Sudan. Are there any operational slave markets in Sudan? In 2023, can you imagine that in Sudan there could be some slave markets where women and girls are being sold? Details for you. This claim was made by Darfur Bar Association, Lawyers Association. Firstly, viewers, Eritrea today criticized an Ethiopian news outlet. Eritrean embassy in Addis Ababa on its social media page criticized the Ethiopian news outlet. Is this social media page is it of the Eritrean embassy? I have been following this page for years. This page is used by embassy, not verified though. And sometimes these Eritrean embassies, etc., they have these pages which are not verified. Because if they're not verified, they can disown them anytime. So this page of Eritrean embassy in Addis Ababa today criticized Addis Standard. Addis Standard is an Ethiopian news source, a news outlet owned by a lady from Oromia. Sidale, I think is her name. She's based abroad. Addis Standard was accused of being funded by the US. US did support Addis Standard and some other Ethiopian news outlets. National Endowment Fund for Democracy, NED, was established in US. And through this NED fund, some Ethiopian news outlets were given money. Eddie Standard also received money from US government. And it is said that Eddie Standard mostly highlights Oromo's issues. It supports allegedly Olad. It criticizes Amhara groups. The Eritrean embassy in Addis Ababa criticized Addis Standard today for a report published by the news outlet. Addis Standard published a report about Isaias Afwerki's departure for Egypt. Isaias Afwerki, I reported earlier in the day, departed for Cairo, Egyptian capital, to attend a summit due to be held tomorrow on Thursday. A regional summit. Agenda is Sudanese civil war. 3 days ago, Isaias Afwerki, in a meeting with Malik Agar, Sudan Sovereignty Council chairman, said that all initiatives to resolve conflict in Sudan were basically political bazaars. And that this issue in Sudan should be resolved by Sudanese people alone. And then today he rushed to Egypt to attend the summit going to start tomorrow. That is why Addis Standard quoted Malik Agar's statement saying that after rejecting all regional international initiatives, Isaias Afwerki is now visiting Egypt to be part of another initiative. That is why Eritrean embassy in Addis Ababa criticized Addis Standard. It accused Addis Standard of being NED funded, National Endowment Fund for Democracy funded, which is based in the US. Secondly, it said that it is a disinformation campaign against Eritrea. Thirdly, the embassy said that the official position of Eritrean President, Eritrean government is that there should be no intervention, but IGAD and regions could play a supportive role in a Sudanese-owned process of mediation. The problem is that Isaias Afwerki himself went against his interview. Back then, when he was interviewed on Area TV by his own journalists, agenda was Sudan, and there he spoke in detail. He said that regional players, IGAD, etc., they can play a part. They can support for peace process in Sudan, but peace process should be led by Sudanese people. Yes, that is what he said. But he, 3 to 4 days ago, when he met with Malik Agar, he said something else. He said all mediation initiatives were political bazaars. Sudanese should handle these problems on their own. No external intervention should happen in Sudan. So you see that he himself spoke opposite to what he said in his interview. That is what I reported, and after that Addis Standard also published an article. So there was nothing wrong in Addis Standard's article, I think. Isaias Afwerki took one position in his interview more than a month ago. Then, since he was not made part of these regional peace initiatives, that is why he felt isolated, he felt left out, he criticized all the initiatives. Now when he is being made part of a new initiative by Egypt, he is ready. So he changed his positions, but the Eritrean embassy in Addis Ababa criticized Addis Standard. A few weeks ago, Eritrean Information Ministry criticized Burkina, an Amharic news outlet, that it was spreading false information, trying to create conflict between Ethiopia and Eritrea. Secondly, viewers, Debretsion was interviewed on BBC Tigrinya yesterday, and the host asked several tough questions. Read a video about her questions regarding Badme, Algier agreement, etc. She asked some questions about Getachew, to Tigray interim president. What did Debretsion say? Did he try to defend Getachew? The host asked a question. She said, what was the performance of Getachew as a leader? How is Getachew? Debretsion evaded this question. He did not answer it. And to several other questions too, he responded by saying that this question should be answered by Tigray interim government. So while in a way he backed Tigray interim government on some issues, at the same time he distanced himself from Tigray interim government. That if there are problems in Tigray, question should be answered by Tigray interim government, by Getachew. Getachew and Tigray interim government, they should answer questions. They are answerable, they are accountable. Why is that? Does it mean that Getachew and Debretsion, Getachew and TPLF are not on good terms? So, which was the case, by the way, when Getachew assumed office, because Debretsion himself acknowledged that TPLF's Central Committee chose him as the leader for interim period. Only 2 committee members voted against Debretsion. More than around 30, I think, voted in support of Debretsion to be the president for interim period. But that decision of the TPLF was rejected by the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, PM Abiy. And then came Getachew's election, Getachew versus Haftarsian, closely contested election. Getachew won by just, he won by 1 vote lead. Getachew took office, but we saw that there were tensions between Getachew and TPLF. Some TPLF leaders believed that Getachew had backing of PM Abiy, and that he was not fully committed to TPLF's cause. Later things improved, I think, especially after I wouldn't link Sadkan's departure from Tigray to improvement of relations between TPLF and Getachew. But after Sadkan went to US, we saw considerable improvement between TPLF and Tigray interim government. Since then, they have been seen together on different occasions. Then why is that Debretsion refused to answer questions about Getachew's performance, etc.? There is frustration in Tigray. We cannot deny that, because people are in dire need of food aid suspended, lots of issues, IDPs protesting. Tigray interim government cannot resolve all these issues. People are frustrated. Debretsion is very smart. He does not want to be the target of people's frustration. So, by distancing himself from Tigray interim government's performance, he is basically saying that Tigray people should hold Getachew accountable when it comes to performance of the government these days. Debretsion has nothing to do with the performance of the government. Though people say that TPLF and interim government now, they are the same. Opposition parties say that too, that Getachew failed to disassociate his government from the TPLF. But Debretsion evaded questions about Getachew in his interview yesterday. Thirdly, viewers, a priest was arrested in Addis Ababa, Ethiopian capital, today when he arrived from Australia on Addis Ababa Bole airport. He was taken into custody. He was there waiting for his transit flight to Mekelle, because in Tigray on Sunday, a meeting of archbishops and bishops is going to be held to appoint new bishops. The priest who was arrested is Sereke Berhan. He was taken into custody reportedly. So far, he has not been released. Now, some pro-Ethiopian Orthodox Church sources have published a letter, an old letter written around 7 years ago. The letter shows that this priest was dismissed by the patriarch, Abune Matthias, that he was charged with some misconduct, that he disobeyed seniors, and he was fired. So while this letter is being shared to question the credibility of this priest, question is, why was he arrested? Why was he detained? Did he commit any crime? It seems that church might have requested the police to arrest him in connection with the past work of this priest with the church, main church. That seems to be a likely reason behind his arrest. No statement from the government so far, from police too, but his whereabouts are still unknown. Will he be allowed to travel to Mekelle and attend Sunday's meeting? That remains to be seen. Last year, it's 2023, war ongoing in Sudan. On the 15th of April, the war broke out. Can this war be so ugly? I never imagined that. I have covered several wars. That is what I have been doing for the last 3 to 4 years. But what we're seeing in Sudan, if what we are receiving from Sudan in terms of reports, if it is true, let's hope it's not true. If it is true, it would be an utter disgrace. Darfur Bar Association today said that it had received some reports that slave markets were existing in Sudan, newly established in North Darfur. Darfur Bar Association of Lawyers mentioned 3 places: Fashir, Malith, Malha. That in and near these 3 main places, reportedly, slave markets had been established where women and girls were being sold. The Bar Association says that nomads and some armed groups are involved in this trade. They're kidnapping women and girls from areas where fighting is ongoing: Darfur, Kordofan, Khartoum, Bari, Umdurman, and then these girls and women are being sold at these slave markets. The Bar Association said it is in the process of confirmation. It is investigating these reports. I have no way to verify the reports too, but this is a very shocking revelation. Let's hope it's not true. If it is true, then let's hope that it is investigated. And those who are committing this heinous crime, let's hope they are held accountable, they are arrested, and these women and girls are freed. We'll try to keep this issue under watch, and we'll keep you updated about this important news story from Sudan. Thank you for watching.